Hello everybody and welcome back to part 3 of the Ultimate Christianity Iceberg. Now before this video starts, there's just a few announcements I want to make. First and foremost, happy Lent to all my Christians who are participating. I know for me personally, I'm actually fasting. So in the comment section down below, let me know what you're giving up for Jesus. And lastly, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support, the engagement that my last video got. 1.4k views is kind of crazy to me. I know it's probably not a lot, but I just want to say thank you. But anyways, with all that out the way, let's get right into this iceberg. So the first entry we got is the world is a square. Now this belief that the earth was actually in the shape of a firmament or square actually dates back to ancient civilizations. There are many biblical passages found in either Isaiah or Revelations where it talks about the earth being spread into its four corners. And this belief actually carried its way throughout all of history, where it was up until 3rd century BCE, where it was Eratosthenes, who was an ancient Greek astronomer, sorry for my pronunciation, whose measurements actually contradicted this view. Now, this belief that the earth is a square actually doesn't come from Christianity itself. Even in ancient Babylonian cosmology, the earth is actually depicted as a flat disc. Second up, we got Genesis is mythological. Now, the book of Genesis holds a key part in both the Christian and Jewish religion. However, the creation story has many striking similarities to those of other creation stories. There's even an ancient Mesopotamian myth called Enuma Elish, which was written around 1100 BCE, which describes a battle between gods, which kind of led to the creation of the earth, kind of paralleling the separation in Genesis. However, with this in mind, many scholars believe that Genesis is just a more monotheistic view on these creation stories. That instead of multiple gods battling out, it was just one God who spoke creation into existence. Now, I'm guessing you can see where this will kind of break off from the pagan or the mythological creation stories. Now, while there is literal interpretations of Genesis, some others might actually see it as symbolic. I know for me, for example, when I look at the Genesis creation story, I don't believe that God actually created everything the way it was told to us. What do I mean by that? Obviously, we're told the story that God created the earth in 7 days. Now, obviously, God exists outside of time, which means however long those days are for him is something that we can't know. So my belief is that when God was actually creating the 7 days, it was 7 days in his time. However, to us, we could only observe it as something as the Big Bang Theory, for an example. I'm actually one of those believers that believe that religion and science can coincide, where religion is the 0 to science 1s. However, that's a discussion for another video. Next up, we have a 969-year-old person. Now, Methuselah, who is found in the book of Genesis, is recorded to be one of the longest living humans of all time. However, this is when the credibility of it is questioned. Obviously, the people back in those times did not use the same calendars we use in this time, meaning they could have been using a completely different system of numbers, such as they could have been counting lunar cycles other than actual solar years, which would actually reduce the lifespan by hella. And the evidence to kind of back this up, there's something actually called the Sumerian king list, which shows a whole lot of ancient Mesopotamian kings, which all have the same exaggerated numbers. Humans would attribute long lives to these legendary figures. Next up, we got Satan is an archangel. So the belief that Satan was an archangel is actually rooted in scripture, but also tradition. I know Isaiah 14:12 talks about the fall of Lucifer, and even calls him the son of morning. However, many scholars actually believe this is used to describe a Babylonian king. Now here is when the book of Enoch ties into this. However, if you don't already know, the book of Enoch is a pseudepigraphal, non-canon text to the Christianity. What does that mean? That means go watch a video I made on it a long time ago. I'm just joking, but just a quick rundown. Basically, us Christians have no evidence that Enoch was actually the one who wrote Enoch. And obviously, Enoch being before the flood, even if he had some book, it would have been lost in the flood. But even with that argument, even if he had a book and God wanted to preserve it, God would have probably preserved it. Now, back to the book. Book of Enoch actually goes as far as to name the angels that were fallen. Now, there is no actual scripture where it talks about Lucifer being an archangel. However, if we really connect the dots, we could see why this is a belief. Obviously, it was pride that led Lucifer to defy God. It even goes as far as in Revelations 12, Lucifer's pride was hurt because a human, aka Jesus, was going to be crowned above him in heaven. So with Lucifer having such a high status that his pride can feel hurt if someone was crowned above him, only showed that he might have been an archangel. However, I don't know, and I couldn't find any concrete evidence of this. However, if you guys found something, make sure to leave it down below. Speaking of that, the next topic is actually the book of Enoch. So basically, the book of Enoch follows Enoch, who is the great-grandfather of Noah, who is actually also named in Genesis. And the book depicts many things. It depicts angels and visions that was given to Enoch by God. Now, the book of Enoch actually calls these angels the Watchers, who came down to teach humans forbidden knowledge, such as conjuring things, rituals, weapons. People even use this as another explanation for Nephilims. Now, this isn't a Wendigoon reference at all, but Nephilims literally mean giants. However, basically, when the war in heaven happened, a lot of angels were commanded to breed with the women on earth, leading to the birth of these Nephilims, or Goliath, who went up against David. However, there is evidence that Enoch could have been oral tradition, because through the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was fragments of a book of Enoch in it. Now again, Noah's family being the only family to survive the flood and Enoch being his great-grandfather, there could have been many traditions that was passed down orally. Ethiopian Orthodox Church actually has the book of Enoch in its canon. Now, I actually don't know why for this. If anyone else knows, please make sure to leave it down below. Back on the topic of Ethiopia, the next topic is the Ark in Ethiopia. So the Ark of the Covenant, set to house the tablets of the Ten Commandments, almost vanished from history after the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem. However, Ethiopian tradition states the Ark was brought to Aksum by Menelik I, who is the son of King Solomon and of the Queen of Sheba. Now, the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion is believed to guard the Ark, though only a single guardian monk is allowed to see it. Now, despite the lack of evidence, this tradition still holds strong in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Last up, we got tetragrammation. Now, the tetragrammation, or Yahweh, is the name of God in Hebrew. However, the exact pronunciation of it is said to be lost because of how holy it was that Jewish people weren't even allowed to say it, and they would replace it with titles such as El Shaddai or Adonai. Now, obviously, Yahweh does come from scripture. Exodus 3:16 is literally the verse where he tells Moses that that's his name, that it shall be remembered throughout all generations. The later form, Jehovah, came from Yahweh, actually. And that's it for part 3 of the Ultimate Christianity Iceberg. I just want to say thank you guys if you've made it to the end of this video. I'm really appreciating the support. Make sure you guys go subscribe to my podcast and follow me on all my socials. Lastly, happy Lent to all my Christians, and may God be with you all.